Hey everybody, I'm Bob. This video is going to be about doing just basic mechanical adjustments on the Anycubic Vyper. These videos aren't sponsored, but I've been getting some help from the community, and all help is appreciated. If you want to help out the channel and get some more videos, there'll be a PayPal link down in the description. There's also some Amazon links, affiliate links down there. If you click on them before you make any purchase, it helps out with a couple cents each purchase. None of the 3D printers, I mean, they're sold as a kit for beginners, but they're not just plug and play machines. They're still DIY kits, and they need to be treated more like a DIY kit than an appliance. They still need to be adjusted and set up as a high precision machine with repeatability. Every layer, it has to know to go back to the exact same spot when it tries to go to the same spot. If anything's loose and it's not able to go exactly back to the same spot, you're going to have layer shifts. It's not going to look right. So it's really important to have everything square on your machine. The uprights, when the X carriage goes up and down, it's got to be the same width at the top as it is the bottom. If it's not the same, it's going to go up and down at different levels, different speeds, and you will see that in your print. So making sure everything is square, making sure that your V-rollers are adjusted is very important. And that's something, the way the V-rollers are, they are made out of palm plastic. They do have a little bit of give to them. As they wear, as the temperature changes, anything, they are going to need to be adjusted once a week, once every couple of weeks, whatever. But definitely you want to check the adjustment on them. And then also the X carriage, the extrusion that goes across that the hot end rides across on. Where that is, if it's cocked, the rollers, the V-rollers on the outsides, one wheel will have more tension than the bottom. The top might roll and the bottom might be tight. So there's 2 bolts on each one of the plates that hold the bracket that the wheels go on to that part that goes across the X gantry. Having that square with the uprights is important also. I'll show that in the video. So let's get going. I hope this helps. Okay, so having your printer square and everything tight is super important. You want to start off by putting the printer on a solid surface, a solid table. A lot of times, I just haven't picked one up yet, I use cement pavers underneath my printers, so that guarantees that it's on a stable surface. This printer, when I first assembled it on a flat table, I could rock it back and forth. It would only be on 3 of its feet at a time. I had to loosen just about every bolt in the frame to get everything to sit flat again. The bolts in the side and the cross bolts underneath that hold it. I put blocks under all 4 feet with the bolts loose on the printer so that it would hold it up and level, and when it was level I tightened all the bolts with the blocks underneath it so I could get to the ones underneath. Then, to make sure your uprights are actually square, you want to lower the X gantry all the way down as far as it'll go and tighten the 2 bolts with the bolts in the bottom just loose, just enough that it won't bind, and tighten the bottom bolts with the X gantry all the way down at the bottom. Then raise it all the way to the top. You can loosen these and retighten it. That way it keeps it the same distance at the top and bottom. Then you need to work on making sure that your X gantry is actually level with the bed, on the same plane as the bed, not level to the ground, level to the bed. And you also need to make sure that it has the same tension on the top rollers as the bottom, so that it's not cocked and trying to hold itself cocked. So you can grab with your thumb and your finger, try and turn the wheels. You should be able to just barely turn them without it wanting to move. But they need to have the same tension on it so that this whole thing isn't cocked. If it is, you need to loosen the 2 bolts that hold the plate to the X gantry. There's a bolt here on this side, there's one here on this side, and also on the left hand side you've got one here, and then if you come in from the other side next to the motor, there's a hole here to access, right there next to the motor, to access the other bolt that goes into the plate back here. So you can grab those 2 rollers also and make sure that they have the same tension top and bottom. Adjusting the V rollers with the eccentrics, 1 full turn goes from all the way loose to all the way tight. They're not threaded, it's just an offset circle so that it pushes this in as it turns. The right tightness, you should be able to just turn this without it moving. Any tighter than that and it's going to eat into it, any looser and you'll have movement there. Same thing with this side, and the same thing with these rollers here. You want to, oh my god, this is what I deal with. You want to be able to make sure that you can turn these wheels without it wanting to move. Hold it still and have it move. And also the rollers there under the bed. Okay, now for tramming the X gantry to the bed. You want to home your printer. This is for people that have the adjustable Z end stops still. Home your printer, move the X carriage to the center, and you can use a caliper. You can actually use anything that you can judge the distance with, but check one side, left or right, from the gantry down to the bed, 57.58, and check the other side. And I'm just touching the bed, so it's the same. If it was off, if it has to go up, if this side's lower, you would adjust it with the grub screw on the side over here. You would want to make that pin go down further to raise this side up when it homes. If you have to turn that to adjust it, after you turn it a little bit makes it move a good bit, but you would adjust it. After that, go ahead and home it again so that it goes down to where the end stops stop at. Each one does the Z screw separately. And then once it homes, you can move the X carriage back out of the way. Check it again to see if you've moved it enough to have it at the same level with your bed. Okay, so after you've leveled the X gantry to the bed with your Z end stops, you want to go ahead and double check your rollers again on both sides and make sure they're at the same tension again. If you adjusted it with the end stops and it wants to be a little bit farther off from where it was, you might have to loosen the screws, the bolts and the plates again to let it go back to where these are back straight on the uprights and not wanting to be cocked when this is where it needs to be. So you might have to loosen both screws again, let it settle to where these have the same tension again, and retighten it. And then you're also going to have to recheck your measurements from the X gantry to the bed on both sides again. Should be there with the dual X steppers, but good to double check it. Okay, now for the belt tension. The belt tension is a little bit hard to judge if you don't have experience doing it. The easiest way to do it is to go ahead and start with it loose. With the bed all the way back, you can start hitting the belt like a bass guitar string and slowly start to tighten it. And once you start to hear the noise that it makes from twanging it start to sound like a bass guitar, actually, that you can hear tension in it, that's about where you want to be. It just has to be tight enough that when it moves, it goes back to the same place every time. So if there's no motion when you're pulling it back and forth, you should be good. It doesn't have to be super tight. The tighter it is, the more you're pulling on the bearings in the stepper motor and the bearings in the adjuster. And then the same thing with the X belt. Go ahead and move the X carriage all the way to the left. And you can hit this belt from underneath. That's way too loose. And that's it right there. Again, as long as it doesn't, when the motors are enabled, if it won't move back and forth with a little bit of pressure, you should be good. Just loosen it up and we'll see how much it moves. Well, that's obviously too loose. So yeah, it doesn't take a lot of force. They don't have to be over tight. You're going to wind up with more problems from them being too tight than too loose. As long as it's not skipping with a little bit of force on it, you should be fine. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll get some more videos I'm working on, get them posted. Thanks again for your support. PayPal links down below, and leave in the comments any other videos you want to see. Thanks.